Hey everybody, welcome to the Blacklist, the show where we interview the elite. Today we have Andrew Imbesi, who's 25, and dude, I just found out right now, like 10, 20 seconds ago, that he's also bought a yacht. So we're going to dive into his story, we're going to dive into funding, we're going to dive into the yacht stuff, and a lot of things. So Andrew, I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me for sure.
So when, let's dive into the yacht stuff, dude. When did you buy this yacht?
I'm closing on it in the next week or two.
Yeah.
You have the offer, everything's all locked in. And honestly, 4 or 5 months ago when I moved to Miami, I did not think I was going to be buying a yacht that fast.
Where were you at before that?
San Diego.
Okay, San Diego.
For 2 years. And before that, I was living at my parents' house in New Jersey.
Yep.
So it's kind of happened over the last 3 years, which shocks a lot of people. I get it in my comments on IG all the time. It's kind of funny. People don't think it's possible to have a lot of success in 3 years, but if you put your head down and really focus and have a lot of confidence and certainty in yourself, you can make it happen a lot faster than what people think.
Well, not only that, dude, the fact that you're 25, the 3 years is amazing, but at the same time, you're pretty young, you know? And I know I was joking about that earlier because we're similar age, but you are very young, you know, for your age.
You know, I think a lot of it comes from having the right information at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Is a lot of what I noticed that people run into is that they could be trying for 10 years and they may never really hit the numbers that I've hit so far.
Yep.
And I don't even think the numbers I'm hitting are that crazy because I just did a podcast with Zane Jan.
Yep.
Kid's 27 and he's making $300 million a year with his solar company.
Yeah.
That's absolutely absurd to me. And his mentors are Elon Musk and he's killing it.
Yeah.
Right. But it's all about having the right information and applying it correctly. Right.
Yeah.
Because people could be searching for that for so long. And I was fortunate very early on that I met a couple of mentors who had great information, very similar information to what Brandon Dawson, another episode that you filmed, Grant Cardone, they use a lot of the same information themselves. So I have mentors who've been affiliated with them. So I have really good business organizational SOPs, different divisions, knowing how to structure a company, knowing just kind of the order of how to do it, and just met some really good mentors and who had the right information early on. And I credit a lot of that really to my success.
And who was the one that taught you about that? Business is not just one department. It's multiple departments kind of running as a business.
That's a great question. So I learned from a friend. His name's Dylan Cadulo. He does sales training and sales consulting online.
Yeah.
And it kind of upped the grapevine. You know, a lot of that came from Grant Cardone. And actually, it's going to sound a little controversial. A religious organization, the Church of Scientology, is where they get a lot of those organizational charts, all these business processes. And what's actually very, I could even just point out, is that, you know, what's really unfortunate about just all the propaganda, all the controversy is that there's so many people that will not be able to see through that to really learn the organizational charts, the SOPs, just how they've done things, because whether people like it or not, that is a way bigger organization than what most people are ever going to build in their entire life.
Yeah.
And obviously if they're that size and they're sustaining, they must be doing something right. But people are going to be so, you know, bogged down by the propaganda, online programs are a scam, you know, all this crap, right? That they're not gonna be able to see it through to see that information. So when I got my hands on that stuff, it really gave me the stuff that I did not learn in college when I was majoring in business. I mean, I never learned sales. I never really learned Google ads. I never learned YouTube ads. I never learned, you know, hook story, you know, call to action, stuff like that. So I had to learn all of it on my own. And fortunately, I had mentors who had access to the right information. They passed it along to me.
And in those 3 years, you've grown immensely, but I'm assuming that you also had some pretty, bad downs, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's not easy in the beginning. You know, when you have friends in the beginning who you thought they were your friends, but when you start actually doing something much bigger than what they thought you were capable of, their true colors start to come out. And that's one of the first things that someone's going to run into usually, is that people around them who they thought actually believed in them don't really believe in them.
That always happens in the beginning. When you're first starting out, whether it's friends or family, the people that you're around, and when you start doing something different, and I'm not too sure why that happens, but I think, I think every entrepreneur that at least has friends or has family will experience that.
Oh, totally. You know, it just comes down to thinking, you know, these people think that you can only have so much because they can only have so much, and it's just not real to them that you could have much more than what they're comfortable with seeing inside of you.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's maybe why, because you said like some of the stuff that you talk about, like it kind of pops on social media, because I think that's one of the reasons why. Like the fact that you're getting a yacht, or the fact that you're able to get like 149,000 on just one card.
Yeah.
It's like they don't see themselves being able to do stuff like that. So because of that, they're fucking commenting on that shit.
Yeah, totally. It's so I posted this video on IG about how I spent $500,000 in a week.
Yeah.
And it was on, a yacht, it was on a speedboat. Those are both business investments, although I'll use them for personal pleasure as well.
Yeah.
Google ads, payroll, dinners, all this other stuff, team bonding, right? And you just get a lot of supporters in the comments, but then you also get all these people that are like, "Oh, this kid's not 25 years old; he's like 40." I'm like, "Yeah, I got a 40-year-old mindset. I got a 40-year-old mentality, but I'm 25."
Yeah.
Right.
And how did you, and that's true though, right? Because at this age, when you're running a business, you have people to feed, you have payroll. Like people don't think about that stuff, but that is a mature level of thinking, because you're not just thinking about yourself anymore at this point, right?
Oh my gosh, totally. Yeah. And that's something that I learned along the way, where at first, like, all I wanted was really to just make 10K a month. I just wanted to be able to live at home in New Jersey. This was my initial goal, right?
Yeah.
To live at home in New Jersey with my family and friends and be able to work when I want and do what I want whenever I want. That was my initial goal. And once I hit that, and it didn't exactly happen like that, but once I started making it for myself, I realized that it just wasn't as fun to have all those things by myself, and that it was actually a lot more valuable. It was a lot better to have a bigger sense of responsibility and actually help others around me. Because what makes my day now is the other day when my brother Joe, who works for me, he made $9,000 in commissions.
Nice.
Now that blows my mind, and that makes me feel so happy because I work so hard to help him achieve that result.
Yeah.
And it's not fun when you are the only person achieving those results. It's only very fun when other people around you are also achieving those results. And that's like another thing that comes with having a lot of success, is that you'll start networking and meeting new friends and meeting new people that you could actually grow alongside with.
Yeah.
And that's like the really cool aspect, because you'll still have like those friends left over, right? The ones that believed in you.
For sure.
They maybe did not take the jump with you, right? But now you've met all these new friends that you're crushing it with too, and your network just becomes bigger, and it's just a lot more fun.
Now, that's a very mature answer. For people that are kind of like listening in and they're like, this dude, no way, he's 25, right? Like, what is the actual day-to-day life of a 25-year-old that's fucking crushing it, runs an 8-figure business? Like, what is the day-to-day like for you?
That's a very good question. I mean, I get to just, beggars can't be choosers, right?
Yeah.
And winners, people who have success, have choices. So every day is a choice for me, right? Like, I still have responsibilities to take care of, and having more responsibility is a lot better than having less responsibility.
Yes.
And that's like a big thing that I learned along the way. But, I can just wake up. I like to go to the gym. I've done that a lot more recently this year. I used to, kind of go for a month and then kind of give up. But that's just something that goes so well alongside of business, because if you can stay consistent with working out and actually putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation to eventually feel comfortable and be willing to take some time and some patience to achieve bigger results, like doing that at the gym is going to align so well with your business. So that's how I'll usually start my day, early in the morning. And then really a lot of it is just simple, like day-to-day business stuff, is things that I've already created. Now, this is obviously like even at the smaller level, actually, it's basically managing things that I've created that I chose to create, and it's like a dream job. It doesn't even feel like work, because I'm just getting to manage things that I enjoy creating, and it's awesome, and it just expands with more people. And then you're able to help those people get results, because they'll always come to me. I don't really have a lot of red tape in my business. Because I want like my team members to be able to come talk to me if they run into a problem. So like whenever they run into problems, I'm answering those phone calls. But just trying to find ways to promote now, just grow a personal brand. And then at the end of the day, like I'll usually go to dinner, do some fun activity.
Yeah. Well, that's I think that's pretty similar to like a lot of like business owners. The difference that I would say is like most business owners are like stuck, in the day-to-day kind of doing that stuff. It seems like you have very good organizational structure. Like you said, you learned that from like the Church of Scientology.
Yeah.
And not inside of the Church of Scientology, or
Yeah.
based off this. Okay.
Yeah. Inside and outside.
Got it,
Because,
got it.
we would learn it there and then we would apply it outside.
Yeah.
Right. Which is totally like allowed. They have an organization called wise.org, where you could access a lot of this information, where they'll even help you out.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially with having an organizational chart ready to scale. I think the big key, especially going from working inside your business to working outside of your business, where you're really just managing things, is you obviously got to understand a lot or a little about how each division works, right? You got to have at least some knowledge of how it works. How do you expect to run an 8-figure company and not understand how each department or division is going to function, right?
Yep.
So a lot of how I was able to figure it out and go from like the 50K to like 1 million plus per month was really doing it all myself, like figuring out like, okay, if I'm a closer and I want to make 10K a month working for my offer, how many calls do I need to take?
Yep.
What does my calendar need to look like?
Yep.
I really just maximized what I needed to do in that position. I wrote down everything that I was doing. I wrote down my frameworks. I wrote down everything that I could give to someone. And then finding the right people was just another battle that I had to learn. That took me a little while of finding red flags, finding the right people, stuff like that. But then once I was able to write down my SOP and then hand it off to the right person, you'd be surprised how fast you could just start handing things off, right? Especially when you have a really, really, really good lead system where you're consistently pulling in leads, which is where my YouTube ads come into play.
Yeah.
Because that stuff was ready to turn the knob for so long. And then once I turned the knob, like it went from 500, 1,000 a day to like 15,000 a day now.
So kind of diving into that first, like you said, you learned everything yourself, even the ads portion.
So I had another mentor for the ads portion. His
Yeah.
name's Lucas Lee Tyson.
Yeah.
And he, like, I was familiar with him before I bought his like YouTube ads program, and I
Yeah.
was very early on in that, so I was very fortunate to work a little bit more closely with him. But we knew of each other for a while because when I was first starting out, I bought his agency course. It was like this $1,500 course, and I went through all of his stuff, and I realized that if I applied everything in that agency course, because I never like fully went through it, but I realized if I actually applied everything in there, it would have worked out because like I knew it was like legit. So that really helped me decide, okay, I'm going to work with him to help me do YouTube ads, because the way he was selling his agency course was by running YouTube ads. So that really helped me make the decision to work with him.
Yep.
And then, we worked on it, and, we tested a bunch of different creatives. It's all about the creative.
Yeah.
That's like the gem. It's not about all the sexy targeting or anything like that. You need to have a great creative. You need to have a really great message. That's what matters with these ads or any of this free content or this organic content. You have to have really good content. You have to have really good messaging, right? It doesn't have to be the best filmed ad, but it's the context of what you're saying is what really matters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he helped me figure that out. He gave me kind of some frameworks I can kind of go day to day now, like using in my head. And that was pretty key.
Dude, what I'm learning from this conversation is like you're really about the 80-20 of like the 80-20, You're hiring mentors, or you're learning from people that have done what you want to do. You're learning what the 80-20 of that is, and then just utilizing that, because a lot of people can talk about the science about YouTube ads and all that type of stuff, and you're like, hey, what's worked for me is the creative. Like, sure, you need that targeting and all that good stuff, but at the same time, like, this is what's going to drive the result.
Yeah. What would be even shocking to some marketers out there is that this is very unheard of too, is that my best campaign right now that I spend the most money on has no targeting, no audience. The only thing is that there's a device exclusion for mobile, and I'm targeting the top 20% of income. Other than that, it's just pure, like, just result and proof that all that really matters is the messaging, because the algorithms on YouTube and Google are really going to take over and make sure that your ad is shown to the right people.
Yeah. I want to dive into that too, actually. This is like really good stuff. Like, number one, people think messaging is like cliche, right? Like, oh, your offer, like all that. Everybody fucking talks about that stuff.
Yeah.
You need to build your offer. You need to make sure the messaging is good. You need to make sure that it's on point. I don't think they truly understand the gravity of that. Like, if you don't have that down, it's incredibly difficult to sell. It's incredibly difficult to get people to move to whatever it is that you want to do. Like, so, coming from you, who's like had massive success at like a young age, How important is that stuff?
Yeah, and I've spent $3 million on YouTube ads to really be able to firmly say this, is that your funnel's got to be sexy. If you've bought stuff through YouTube ads, then you know that the videos and the words that whoever the person was selling the product or service was saying attracted you in some way in order to help you make a purchasing decision, right? And that's what's really, really, really important about these YouTube ads, is that like if you don't have good messaging in there, then no one's going to buy it. Like it doesn't even, like that's really all that matters. You have to have strong messaging to really be able to make it work.
Yeah, that's powerful, dude. So I know we haven't spoken about it yet, but you started your funding, the company, and you started that 3 years ago, right?
I actually started it in January 2022.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so it's been like a year and a half or so since I like really started making sales with it.
Yeah.
Because what happened was, and this is another valuable thing to say about YouTube ads, honestly, is because you're going to try things a lot of times, right? Like it took me 20 creatives to find like the one that worked.
Yeah.
And that's like something that is like extremely valuable to mention, because I noticed that a lot of people give up after they don't see it work the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Like, like I've noticed like a lot of people can struggle with YouTube ads or with sales. Like I sucked at sales when I started. That was what I spent like all of 2021 doing, was learning the org chart stuff, like the business processes, the systems, sales.
Yep.
I had to kind of learn marketing on my own. I always knew I wanted to do YouTube ads because I was always so fascinated by them. I was like, these guys are legends.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm the legend. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with growing the funding business though, like doing the YouTube ads, and then it took me 20 creatives, right, to find that one winning ad.
Yep.
Right. And then I was able to kind of turn them up and start doing it back in March 2022.
So it sounds like you fail a lot to try to understand what works. You dive in immensely. Like what people would dive in like one level, you go 5 levels deeper. And I'm assuming that's also the case with how you learned how to utilize business credit, right? Because people at most, I think, just know about personal credit.
Yeah.
Just getting to like a 700, credit score. But that business credit can get you massive amounts of funding, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, talk to us about that.
I've gotten like 149,000 on a single card. Like that's definitely like super appealing, but that definitely took some time to eventually get to.
Yeah.
Like my first limits were maybe like 20,000, 10,000, 50,000 I got eventually, right? It all started with building a really good personal credit profile. But a lot of the reasons why someone may decide to take my program is to avoid the trial and error of inquiring for cards on their own.
Yeah.
And then, putting themselves in a situation where they don't get the funding that they actually need to start or scale a business or investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between you and like other companies that would, kind of help clients do this?
There's really a lot of things I could actually say about that.
Yeah.
But to take you from the funding side first, right, is the thing about us is that we're in the dirt with the client, right? A lot of these other companies, they'll sell a course, they'll sell like a group coaching, they'll sell like done for you, where they'll do all of it for you. But ours is really a combination of all of that, and that benefits the client, because if we did not do that, it would sacrifice the results that they would be getting for themselves, right? We're able to get more than what other companies are able to get usually, because we're actually in the dirt with them, right? Where each bank has a different strategy, right? Like some banks, it's going to be better to walk into the branch. Some banks, it's going to be better to work with a relationship manager, right? So because we're working hands-on with the client, and the client's able to do a lot of the communication that we're instructing them on, as long as they take our instructions, right? As long as they're following the instructions and doing the best strategy that we outline for them with each bank, they're able to get more. Where if they did a completely done for you aspect of things, right, where someone else is just applying through algorithms, they're going to sacrifice the relationship managers they could talk to and the tens of thousands of additional dollars they could have accessed.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, that's super powerful, because right now what we're learning is we were learning this like 30 to 45 days ago, but we're learning client archetypes, which is very important when it comes to client success, because it's not just about the results. It's about like the experience that they kind of go through and how they interpret that, which
Bro,
is
that's so important.
yeah. And it is because I made a post earlier about this today, but like to me, I'm very logical. Like I assume you're pretty logical. Like you're the logical guy too.
You know, I've just become a lot more straightforward with things now.
Yeah.
I'm just very like to the point.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm exactly like that.
Yeah.
The issue that I was facing though is like, how do I communicate to somebody that's not like that?
That's not direct. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I started learning. Like, we can't communicate, which was difficult for me. But it's because if I'm truly logical and I'm truly like factual, I'll know that it's backed by evidence and science and data that like people don't just move through logic; they move through emotion, they move through
Yeah.
purpose, they move through this. So it's like
Yeah.
learning that type of stuff. That's based off of what you said. That's what I like. Is like you're not just doing this one thing.
Yeah.
You're doing a combination of these things, and that's going to get your client the best results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think just to second your point about being direct, I feel like you become more direct the more success that you obtain because
Yeah.
you start taking less bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like bullshit doesn't matter as much because you've had so much success, like you've learned formulas and secrets to success that you're just so direct about it at this point whenever you hear bullshit.
Yeah, and it's crazy
know?
because like you're 25.
Yeah.
You know, like what are you gonna look like when you're 40? Like
Yeah,
what's that?
yeah. I know
that
people who are a little over direct.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit bad sometimes, but it's also like really good when it's backed by success because you know you can't like when I was just solely serving my clients. Like I feel like I was a lot more kind of loose than I am today.
Yeah.
I think I just like have a lot less time for bullshit because I've kind of gone through the bullshit already. I'll be like, hey, look, I know what you're going through. Like, this is how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, as opposed to like being a little bit more like calm and like loose about it, you know, like I used to definitely be like very, very loose about it. I would say now, like, I would still be that loose with a client. Like I would still like I always try to be their best friend.
Yeah.
That's how I always treat client success is like be their best friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And treat them the way that you would want to be treated.
Yeah.
Right. So, but also get things done and focus on the next step.
So like let's say 5-10 years from now, like what do you see yourself doing? You know, probably getting a bigger yacht, like
Yeah, bigger yacht for sure.
Bigger yacht, yeah.
I want to spend every single day now, like today forward, every day in Miami, I want to spend every single day on my yacht.
Yeah.
Because like there's no better way to live life than the way that you want to live it yourself. And I want to spend my day on a boat. I want to run my business from my boat. Like who can beat that? How many people could say they do that? And it's not even about being flashy about it. It's like, wouldn't you want to spend your whole day on a boat? Wouldn't you want to spend your whole day on like the 51st floor? Like, wouldn't you want to do the things that you want to do that you get to see every day because you work so hard to have it? And like, that's like cool. Like I was on someone else's yacht. I was on Eric Spofford's yacht.
Yeah.
And it just made me think bigger because this guy sold his company for $151 million. He sold it for 9 figures.
Yeah.
Right. And I hop on his yacht, right? Because I'm helping him with he's advocating my funding knowledge inside of his VSL, right? So that way we can help his clients get funding for Section 8.
Yep.
Right.
I'm in that program.
Oh,
so
yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So they integrated me in the VSL and I'm on the yacht, right? And it was just so cool. It was just such a sick experience because he's got, you know, a chef, he's got a captain, he's got a crew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like this is what it's going to be like for me. But I just got to keep working hard because this would be sweet. Have a cool captain, have a cool crew, have a chef.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, if I could spend all day on the boat with my, I think it's Starlink, the Wi-Fi for the boats.
Yeah.
If I could have my Starlink, I could have my captain, I could have my crew, right? And we could just be at the bay all day. Like we could go on trips to the Bahamas. Like if I could just do that every day and run my business from my boat, like I'd be a happy man.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool because now I'm starting to learn about all this boat stuff and it's just so different. Because I remember like I used to get seasick as a kid and like, you know, and now I'm learning like what the port side, the starboard, like very simple basic stuff, but like how boats work and stuff. And it's so funny because like my friends from home would be like, oh my God, he used to always get seasick and now he owns like 3 boats. Like,
dude, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, for people listening in, if they're interested in kind of knowing more about you and then also, you know, potentially getting funding, where can they find you?
Yeah, totally. So you could find me on Instagram at Andrew Imbesi, or you could go to my website, bogegroup.com. It's BOGE group.com. And those are two really good ways to connect with me, as well as I'm always posting content on YouTube, Instagram. Those are really the main ways to get in touch with me. So it's my name, Andrew Imbesi, and bowgroup.com.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.